Yes, good evening, friends. So today we're going to talk on awareness series. This is part 2. Yesterday we have done the part 1 on the topic was social cognition. And today we are going to talk about the same awakening series part 2, and the topic would be afterlife. We have heard so much about afterlife. The minute we get to hear the word afterlife, something exciting, something we want to know. Everyone is curious to know something which is beyond. Okay, for that, first, after life, it is first we need to understand the phenomena of death, right? After life, immediately after this physical life, what we call is death, right? Let us first understand that. Now, what is the limitations of the human language? What are the limitations? Words of human language are the words what we use in our language. There are only to the things which they are surrounded to the things which we have experienced through our physical senses, right? Everything, every word, whatever we use, everything what we use, we know they are around of that, those things which we have experiences, okay, through the physical senses only, whatever we have experienced. Now when it comes to death, though it is something which is beyond the conscious experiences for most of us, because we have not yet experienced it with the physical senses, we have not yet experienced it. That is how it is beyond the conscious experience, because we have never been through it. And now how we view death, when it comes to death, how are we viewing it? How are we seeing it? We're seeing it as maybe a dreamless sleep. There is no dream or something, which is completely dreamless. Or how our ancients viewed it. According to our ancients, what was the point? It was all of transition, right? They used to say the death is nothing but a transition from this world to the other world. This world is within the life what we are perceiving, which is very tangible, and now the death is like a transition where we can experience the world which is after this life after this physical senses, okay, which is beyond this physical senses. Okay, this is what, that is when they used to say the transition. And generally we can view it as, it's a dreamless sleep. It's, there is no dreams, and the sleep is completely without any dreams, like without any experience or any thoughts or emotions in that. And now what is the experience of dying? Now there are four things which we can make out in the experiences of dying. The first thing is the process. The process of death is either ideal or it is complete. Ideal or complete, it is one and the same. It is like, the person, whenever in the last minutes of their life, they say some things like, somebody is come, I have seen somebody has come to take me. Or, they get to remember the major events of life, the major events, whatever it happened, whatever their life schedule have taken in all their process of life, they get to see one and one in an episode form, the major events, all the highlights, they get to see. And sometimes, when they leave the body, immediately after they leave the body, what happens is they just be there, and then there is they get to see their own story, that this is how the life is going to be, this is how you lived your life, these were the major events. In that major events, we get to know that where we have committed any mistake, or where we were supposed to do something and we missed to do that, okay, because of whatever issues are we have been going through our life, something we have forgotten or whatever, there are so many things which we come through. So this is how the process goes on. The minute we are the completion of death, immediately when we leave the body, just before the last few seconds of the when we leave the body, everything the realization begins to flow. And now the second thing is the being of light. Now it is the religious way is the review of life, of all the incidents of life. And then it is like everyone's this is a experience where everyone's experience is completely different. It is not the same. For some, they feel very suffocation in the heart. They don't, they feel like, it's just not going out. They're trying their level best physically, but somehow it's not going out. So for some, it is like, oh my God, I'm just leaving. And, all these kinds of thoughts. Some people, they're ready, they're fine, and they give it in a little state. Yes, I'm leaving now, you all be fine, I'm leaving, somebody has come to take me. All these things, we have heard so many things, and these are so real that people, before just last minutes of their life within this physical body, the last moments, they get to see so many things. It's a religious way where we have been listening to the, not just listening to the stories, but there are the real incidents which have been happened. Even from our childhood, we might have heard so many things. Many of us might have heard that before our great grandparents, or grandparents, or anybody, they were leaving the body, they might have heard so many things. Okay, what happened to them? Like everyone's truth is completely different. No one's truth is the same. It is completely different. Yet everything is centered in the being. Everything is centered. They see a light going out from the body, taking a light form. From the physical form, we take a light form, and then slowly the light becomes as a spark and then vanishes. Sometimes people see a huge ball of light, and then they're coming out as a light form, and then the major events of life they get to see. There's so many things which come as a being of light. Meaning of the very meaning of the physical life is to realize the journey of the soul. Okay, we are here. The very purpose of our human life existence here is just to know about our the essence in us. This is what the essence me. This is my fragrance. Just to know that, and journey towards the duty or knowledge and love, everything, it is coming as a practice in dharma. Like when we talk about duty, it is talking about it is a practicing of dharma, and whatever we are attaining, we are knowing about the self in totality, and how the heart being opened for in compassion, in humanity. The only work for the heart, human heart, is to share the love, share compassion to other fellow beings. It is all means like aligning the truth, this truth of standing, doing your work, your dharma, and then acquiring the knowledge about self and sharing your compassion towards other, completely being absolutely human. Okay, all this truth is the intention, with the intention in everything you do. This is the intention. Whatever you are doing in your life, the main intention is to learn, know more about yourself, and sharing your compassion with everyone, and the same time doing your own dharma. Right here, I will there are so many stories which we were dealing with about walking onto the dharma. Dharma is nothing but living your role completely. Like in yesterday's talk also, we have talked about that, living our role, whatever role we are playing at that point of moment, that moment. Okay, every moment the roles change. Sometimes you are living a role of a student, sometimes you are living the role of a child, and sometimes you are living the role of a parent. There's so many roles we are shifting. So whatever role you are playing at that particular moment, living it completely, being aware of that role completely. This is what. And now when a person is, what is coming back now in this process of death, experience of dying, one is the process, and next is the being of light form when we move out of the physical body, and then the coming back. Now once a person realizes that the very existence, the very thing of me taking the birth as a human, is to realize my fragrance. Right now, there are many major events the person has seen once he left the body, and now in that major events, there were so many things which have come to a point, and which have might have triggered you in realizing the self. but they might have missed few things. They might have committed, checked in some things, and but they might have missed in some things. So when they missed, what they do, where they take a turn again to come back. If it is a very important thing, they need to realize they can take a chance to come back. That's the reason we get to hear about near death experiences. The person goes back, and again, he wants to leave, and then once he realizes, again he comes back. Sometimes he comes back as just an energy. If it is a small thing which has to, just for the completion, the person does not need to go through all the the womb experience and the birthing process and all the life and everything. He can just transfer his energy into the next generation through the DNA. The information is already passing through, and through the next generation he lives, the person lives the same essence. Sometimes this also happens. He becomes awakened inside the next generation, whoever is holding that, the same tendencies, okay, of the past. And now when the meaning itself is, the intention of coming back is not for yourself, it is for others. So we need to understand, when the minute you have realized that your very existence of human form is for helping others, knowing yourself, and practicing the living your role, okay, doing your duty, right, practicing dharma. So when we have identified that, when this is realized, once the coming back is, you are not coming back for yourself, you are coming back for, because you have already realized. The minute you vacated your body, you with the pictures, with the images, which whatever the highlights which have come in front of you, through that you have already understood that this is where I missed, and this is what I'm supposed to check in. And now once you check in, now when you are wanting to come back, you are coming back for you, not for yourself but for others. Because the very essence of human form is to share compassion, being very compassionate, being completely human in totality, right? Being human is the only species, who can think, expandedly, with expansion, who can think. Animals can think only a very further side, they cannot see the long side. Any animal is able to see something beyond that, they are known as power animals. But we humans have that by birth within our system, our mechanism, the body mechanism, physical body mechanism of knowing things. We are, the urge to know everything itself is making the human a very awakened being all the time, a higher species than any other species, than the plant, animal, or whatever, all the species. So now it is, now when you have realized it is not for yourself, but you're coming back is for somebody else, okay, it is for others. And now how this is affecting you on lives, now you have realized. Again, when you have come into the body, there is a possibility, because of you have forgotten. There is always a possibility that you forget. That's the reason all the highlights of every situation in your life is trying to remind you for what you have come. We come across many situations in life. Every situation is telling you either to know yourself, or you have not come for yourself, you have come for others. You have come for being very compassionate, being completely human. Even the small acts, these are the things. So how is this all? Once you come into the body, after realizing, when you come into the body, you have forgotten. Okay, sometimes you have forgotten and you do not know, you are again with your mess. Okay, this way, there are many cycles, many times we come and go away, but once the realization is done forever, after that, when you come, the effects are very, very, you feel the life is very precious. You realize the importance of life. You know that life is all about eternity. There is no death. Life and death, they are two opposite things. Okay, that's when we say, even our ancients, in ancient times, the death has been viewed as a transition. It's not just a sleep, or it's not anything, it's just a transition. It is from one space to another world, where the realization is much more expanded, much more clear in receiving it. The perceptions are much more pure and clear. Okay, so the life becomes very precious, even more precious. Now you begin to value your own life, because you have touched the death. The minute the death has come, you have realized, when you have seen your own, even today, when sometimes you feel, sometimes when you are all with yourself, you might feel, I wish I go back into my some particular age. Okay, you may get to feel that, I get back into that age, and again my life, if it starts again, I would have done this. Sometimes we feel, most of us feel that we want to get back to that mode again. Whenever we are feeling, it is because, we realized that something we were supposed to do at that moment of time, and we did not do. There were so many, what do you call, distractions which came into thing, and we couldn't do it. Right, all these things come to happening. So when the life is reviving again within the time, now is the time you make your life completely perfect. Yes, I was distracted, I was this, I was that, and now how it is going to happen. There are many people who are born for a specific purpose in life, but then because of the life is sent, the society systems, the family systems and all, they get into the wheel of the karmic things, because even that has to be dealt. So after all that, the life gives one more opportunity. The life gives one more opportunity. Yes, all this about the physical senses you have done, now go beyond the physical senses and now live. It is not for yourself, it is for others. Okay, now when you are doing that, the actions are driven. Now whatever, after realizing that, when you feel the life is so precious, your presence, your existence in this world is so precious, and now the actions are now driven by by a meaning, where people on focusing on others. It is like on sharing your compassion, your your compassion, your love, your whatever way it is for others. You are trying to help everyone. These are so many things which come up. Okay, and doing things for others good, rather than their own being, and non-biased and non-judgmental or judgmental. Instead of being judgmental and all these things, they become non-judgmental and non-biased, and they're rather than their own things, their own system, they try to share things with others. Okay, these are the four things which happen after the experiences of death. One is the process, one is the being of light, where you understand, and then the decision of coming back and how it affects on lives. Okay, and now when it comes to the second, third part, when how the death has been viewed by many people, how it has been the new versions, how the new generation started begin to view the death. The new generation, according to the new study, new age and new study, it is always understood as there is an intentional death and there is an unintentional death. Okay, intentional death is where you commit suicide, or where you purposefully want to vacate. Now you have chosen to vacate because you have gone through all the phases of life, and now you are ready to vacate, and now you're vacating. It's an intentional. Yes, it is okay. Now even if I leave, I'm okay. Even if I have to leave, the moment comes, it is okay with me. There is a balance which is there. And unintentional is that you have not thought about it, maybe an accident, or something suddenly, it's just an accident and not thought about it. Some emotion took over and you just took a decision and that you went off. It was not intentional, it was unintentionally, it just happened. Okay, so it is always the transition or put a person into sleep. These are the things which come about the death. And now, according to Tibetan Book of Death, even in that book it is written, it is like helping the dying person, keeping in mind it is the nature of this is a phenomena. This is as experienced it. It is like the people who are living are supposed to leave the person who is wanting to leave with so much of positive thoughts and so much of love and so much of celebration. It is not like holding on back. There are many people who try to hold them back, hold a person back into their lives, and they don't want the other person to die. I've seen many people, they begin to chant Mrityunjay mantra and all these things they try to, but in that, the person is suffering more. Okay, it is always better when you are trying, when a person is willing to leave, when a person is willing to leave and wanting to move beyond the the process, the physical senses, beyond physical senses. Always we need to help them by not holding them back, and always being positive, sharing the positive, because these are the thoughts which the person as a last thought is carrying from this dimension to the other dimension. Okay, the person is carrying these thoughts. So when the person is carrying a positive thoughts, his comeback also, his experience in the further journey also will be very positive, and a bit of less trauma of what is happening, and no suffering and all. And then the comeback is also very peaceful, with even more higher level of understanding, perception towards life. Okay, and now how do we explain death? How people are generally explaining death? It is like, it is as a supernatural view. It is like God is directing, some God is going to come, and God is going to say, yes, now my child, you're over, now your lifetime is over, now it is time for you to merge back. It's all, it is there in our images, how we want to vacate the body, how we want to walk out from this physical realms and reach where we would like to reach. And then is the natural, is the physical thing. Yes, it's a physical, very natural thing. It is a death. But psychologically, it is all about the isolation research. When a person is wanting the death, it is like, the person might be getting some dreams, there's some death which is happening, there's some hallucination, some delusion, some things, all these things keep coming up through dreams or through things. There is an isolation research, there is some isolation inside the feeling which is trying to come out. Psychologically, these things also happen. Because of these areas also, people may attract death. Okay, and now what is the levels of psyche? Now how the psyche is placed in one level to other level in this. It is first the self. When the self is there, it is the ancestors experiences, where they tend to see many ancestors. Okay, they tend to see the ancestors coming in, and they get to see, sometimes you might be just sitting and meditating, and you don't know what to do, and you're just done with life, and still there's no urge to death, but still you are done with all your baggages or whatever, you're just sitting idle. And sometimes you get to see your ancestors. That means there is something which is yet to do for you. There is something, some work for you to do. Maybe your unresolved issues from your ancestors which you need to resolve. Maybe somebody is feeling something bad about what is happening, to the person, and then guiding a person to a proper thing, proper way, proper direction, giving somebody a proper direction. So that becomes your experience. Okay, and now it is like inherited tendency to move towards, everyone in this world wants to they're taking the forms, physical forms or whatever form. It is only towards the growth, it is towards the perfection and towards the completion, right? Without completion, there is always an incompletion inside from something or the other. Maybe a life went on, maybe in a family there is a tendency, there is a pattern which has been going on, where everyone were longing for love and they never received love, and they had to leave their life. And now one person in the family has taken that charge of completing about what love and how love is, and what is the real meaning of love. Okay, and now the person goes through all these aspects, and now all the ancestors and everything aspects, and then they move out. These things happen. And archetype of archetypes, the archetype is something which, the image which we hold in the mind of a particular essence. There is, when we talk about archery, the image immediately comes as either immediately comes as Arjuna. right? For archery, for the best archery. And when we think about the bow and arrow, either it is Arjuna or either it is a Ram, right? So this is the archetype. This is how through this form we understand that essence. It is not that we got connected to that essence, that form, and that form is playing in us. It is nothing like that. It is the essence which we are getting connected to. Now the essence, the intelligence of that essence, the fragrance is going to express it. Okay, now that is what it is becomes, because it pulls together all the other archetypes. What is the archetype of all the archetypes? It is the Maha Avatar of all the small avatars. Now this is the avatar which is pulling all the small parts, tiny parts into one, and uniting them in the process of self-realization. Okay, it is creating a family so that everyone helps each other in realizing their own self. This is the archetype of all the archetypes. Okay, this is how it happens. And now then comes to the middle life. The other part is the middle life, where there is a decline with increasing anxieties, but also tremendous potential. At the same time, you are not wanting to do much in life. There is so much of there is a graph is going low, because there is an increase in anxiety. Anxieties are increased as the life is going on. From the middle age, it is going on. But also this is the time, that is the age where there is a tremendous potential also grows. The person where you have seen from 35 to 50 is the age, is the middle age crisis goes on. The tremendous potential a person holds, yet because of the anxiety, because of the situations there's so many things they are not yet to do. Then they feel they're not capable of doing it. Okay, all these things. And sometimes there is a experience of walking through a dark tunnel and reaching the state of no experience, are very calm kind of a feeling. Okay, you feel as if you reached home. Okay, you absolutely feel that you reached home. This is what happens all the time. You feel, yes, I reached home, I'm done with this. Okay, now I need nothing, I reached home, I'm fine. It is like you have reached your own self. The minute you have reached your own self, the minute you have connected, you met your own self, all the search and all the wandering ends. Now what is after life, what is before life is least of concentration. Okay, it is all, these are the process where we are wandering. We want to reach home back, like a small school child. How we are, from we have left home somewhere early in the morning, and all day we are studying all the lessons and everything, and by the time it is evening, the urge is growing, the anxiety is growing to reach back home. And you feel so much energized, you feel so much joy. Oh, school is going on, now it's going to over, now I'm going back home. The same way, even the soul, the essence inside us, the authentic self, wants to reach back home. And home is your own self. That realization has to come out. Okay, now you meet guides, and you meet angels, you meet gods, you may meet demigods, you may meet many metaphors and many forms which are there all over. Okay, if they help in when you they help you reach your own that home kind of state. Okay, towards that they do it. And now realizing the play of physical life, we need to even realize this play. It is a play. We have come here to live that role, and this role has to be played. And when you are playing this particular role, these are the thoughts and these are the emotions and these are the reflections which are going to come to you to tell you that this is how it is. The expression of this role is all these factors. It could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be any. When through the reflections, through the other forms are nothing but none other but our own reflections. Through those reflections, we get to know that this is how it is, right? Outside our space-time. And now when we go outside the space-time, it is absolutely, there is no space. It is out. When we are going out, it is like out of body experience. When we go out of the body, And now, after understanding the physical, within the physical things we have understood, and when we go out of the body, what we are seeing many images. We are seeing there's so many images we have already collected through the senses, through the physical senses into the psyche. And every cell is storing that particular image. And now we are reaching, we are traveling, because the wanderer is always alive in us till the wanderer reaches the self. Okay, in self, in however form, however you see yourself, good, bad, ugly, nasty, whatever way, you are done. Rest is taken care of. Your work, our entire the process of this life is to reach our own self. Once you reach yourself, and now you begin to understand what is happening, and now then you become even more aware of everything whatever is happening. And there is, even within the senses, you understand, within these physical reflections, within the physical realm, you understand. And when you go out of body, out of this physical realm, also you end up connecting to such situations of life, the major important highlights of your life. And then you create something, you want it to be this way because you're already aware, right? Physically you are completely aware, you're of your grounding, you're completely aware of your surroundings and your people around you. And now when there is an out of body experience, you know, when you connect to the highlights of your lifetime, now you know what to be done there. Okay, and then there is a communication. When you communicate, there is complete awareness. You read every word and the words behind those words. Okay, everything is understood. And now you are aware of where you have been wrong. Okay, and the tunnel, when you pass through the tunnel and you reach the light at the end of the tunnel, this is a beautiful journey. You need to cross, you need to moving on. And this journey from here of, because it's a dark tunnel, that means your journey when you have begun, you have not known anything about it. You have to realize now, as you enter, there might be so many things which come up. And at the end, there is again you as a huge light which is awaiting for you. And once you reach that, all this darkness is gone. You realize, oh, I have this darkness. I'm able to see this darkness. There is no darkness at all. Right, because you have realized the minute you connected to the light at the end, you have realized it is you have met, and now you are the light. Right, the understanding flowed automatically, and now you begin to realize that there is nothing. Now you realize every reflection, whether it is the friends, whether they are coming as your friends or your family, or your immediate family or your colleagues, whoever, in whichever form a person has come in front of you, you have identified that this is what the life is. These were my reflections, and they were playing a role of a catalyst of helping me in, through their words, through their communication, they were helping me of what I am supposed to do. Right? Every aspect is understood. And then the return. Right, the return is like, when with all this awareness, when you return back to yourself, you're completely back and one with yourself. You're completely energized. You're in totality, you're energized. That brings the transformation. The real transformation, it is not about, after life is not about where, after death, what happens, everything. There are so many things that happens after death. After you vacate your body, you get to see your own story. You get to meet some people who have come to visit you from the other realms. There might be guides, there might be angels, there might be your own ancestors who have come to welcome them back into their own thing, their own soul family. Okay, there could be anybody. You get to see all this realization with all this understanding. Every moment, every experience of death is after life, after this physical life. Everything that happens is helping you to give you a certain expansion in your understanding, so that when there is a return, there you have returned with the transformation. Okay, this is how these things. And now when the death is interrupted, Sometimes the death is interrupted, like a person has taken all the due to some accident or whatever, unintentionally the death has happened. Sometimes it happens unintentionally, where it is nobody's mistake, but it just happens. Okay. And when the person is going, and immediately the person is taken to the hospital, and immediately the person, it is like the path of death, the experience of dying is being interrupted, and the person is taken back. If the person has come back with certain amount of confusion of not knowing the realm perfectly, then the entire life goes into difficult things. A person who has understood that life after death, in a most expanded way, and with all the awareness and the completion, when he comes back as a yogi. He understands every aspect of life and death. But the thing is, if a person goes to the other world, leaving the physical body, and it was a pleasant journey which started, and just because a person who is living trying to bring them back, and suddenly that person has been pulled back inside, and they do not know what has happened, and they didn't meet anyone for the realization what life is all about, and the person goes through so much of confusion. The person's mind goes disorientation, because they are not able to connect to their own body now. It becomes very difficult for them to connect to their own body, because they have left it. They all know is they left the body. When they have come back to the body, with what kind of thought, with the spark of a thing, they've come back, they've not yet realized. So they cannot connect to any relationships or any issues, and they bring up so much of chaos within their own body, in their own lifetime. The person might be going through a very wonderful life and going in expansion, and suddenly these things have happened, and death has been interrupted. So that's the reason, you are outgoing and incoming, going out of the body and coming back to the body should be very, very pleasant. Always holding the positive thoughts, always filling with yourself with positive thoughts. That is very important, because the divine blueprint, the blueprint of your life, the main design of your life, the print of your life is being missed if the interruption is creating, it's a disturbance in between, it is incompletion, it is creating an incompletion. The plan is not understood properly, and the dots which are drawn, the connecting of the dots, we might miss. Okay, any experience must be complete. Unless the experience is complete and you are realized, you feel from inside, yes, I have understood now the value of my life, of my very existence in this world. When you experience this, there's a transformation. The return is 200% transformative. Okay, it is invasion of something supernatural. Death is nothing but you are invasion. You are researching something supernatural. You are exploring something beyond your senses. It's not natural. It is something beyond your invasion is all happening about, right? So that's the reason immediately even when you, while you are going to bed, you for sleep, it is always, it's a resting. You need to relax every part of your body. After relaxing every part of your body, now you slowly go into the state, the levels of psyche, how it works. When you completely relax within your body, every part of your body is relaxed, you go into an evaluation. You get to see, when you get to see the highlights of the day or of your entire lifetime, you get to see that moment I didn't do this moment I did do this is something opportunity I missed, this is something opportunity I missed. Okay, and now you heal yourself. It is okay, it is fine. I missed it, it is okay. What a big deal, it's fine. Okay, you heal, and now you bring out the truth. Yes, this is my truth. I have come here, my very existence as a human is to help others, and being very compassionate toward others, and also knowing myself. And now when you begin to experience in every atom and molecule of your body, this turns out to be a tremendous amount of wisdom. And this wisdom is that becomes your fragrance in the world. the essence, the fragrance of your essence is going to be that wisdom. Wisdom is nothing but the knowledge which is transformed through the process of experience. That is what wisdom is, right? You have experienced death, so you know the value of life. You have understood the life after the physical senses, so you know how important it is to be within how beautiful it is to be within the physical senses. Okay, everything is very exciting. Like a small child, you become very curious about knowing everything. With all the realization, everything happens, right? This is how things goes on. After life is a very precious thing one must experience in their life, and go deep into their own silence. When a person goes deep into the silence, when they meet themselves, that's when the true wisdom of beyond this physical senses, every wisdom of a person, the fragrance of the person, of that of a person who's holding the essence, whatever essence they hold, everything begins to express, comes into the expression. Difference. So this is a little about afterlife, and tomorrow we are going to meet at the same time, 7 o'clock, with a new topic. And if any doubts you have related to this, you can always leave in the comment and it will be explained. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow, 7 o'clock.